Good morning. I am 5 minutes earlier today, so if you're watching and recording, you're welcome to fast forward 5 minutes to the very beginning of the actual practice, or you can stay with us through our hellos. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Ari. Good morning, Joey. Good morning, Leo. I'm so glad your mom is out of the hospital and on her way to recovery. Good morning, Mary. All right, it is time for us to start. And today we're going to talk about yet another obstacle to feeling pure sympathetic joy, which is envy. Envy, as we all know to our distress, is the inability to endure success, prosperity, happiness of others. Envy absolutely hates to see these things in other people. And of course, we all experience envy. It's one of those natural states of mind that we cannot really completely avoid. And it's okay. Remember, it's the willingness to cultivate loving kindness and the willingness to cultivate sympathetic joy that we need to really focus on, and not all the quote unquote bad, wrong states of mind being horrible and being ashamed of that. The experience of envy only functions to produce more and more dissatisfaction with our own condition, and it makes us quite miserable. In English, we actually use the phrase eaten up by envy, which says it all. Envy really devours us. We cease to be centered without in our own lives, and instead are perpetually out of balance as we lean into the lives of others, regretting their happiness, real or imagined. Sharon Salzberg, whose book LovingKindness, The Revolutionary Art of Happiness I'm basing this series on, shares her own story of envy, which is quite entertaining and illustrates the futility of envy in a very good way. She says, in the difficulties of my early meditation practice, when I was sleepy and restless and uncertain, I would often peek at other meditators to see how they are doing. And I would see them with their eyes closed, silent, unmoving, and I was sure that they are all sitting in great bliss. So why wasn't I? The feelings of deprivation were quite strong in me. I felt like an impoverished child with my nose pressed up against a bakery window, destined to be excluded from the riches within. I was truly eaten up with envy. The irony of it all, as I learned later, was that while I was imagining the unmitigated success of others as they were sitting still and silent, these other meditators in turn were feeling envy for what they imagined my extraordinary experience to be. So how funny is that? Envy often is based on such illusions. It's a very destructive quality, and if it grows to be very strong, then it is easy for us to try to hurt someone toward whom we feel envious. And in the end, of course, we only hurt ourselves more. How much easier to simply be happy for the happiness of others, knowing that this gives rise to our own happiness. So let's practice sympathetic joy again today. This time towards somebody we feel envious of. As usual, take a comfortable position and take a few moments to acknowledge all the circumstances of your practice, internal and external, with each breath dissolving this boundary between the external and internal, reminding ourselves and maybe even feeling this oneness with all that is, our interconnectedness. Let your breath be soft and easy, uncontrolled. And let this easy breath be an invitation to soften, find effortlessness in your whole being, body, mind, and heart. Scan your body with each breath, finding your connection with the ground, reminding yourself that the earth is holding you up, is supporting you all the time. You don't need to do it yourself. You can trust and let go, knowing that the support is always there. Maybe let a few deliberate exhales to ground you even further, moving your breath from the crown of your head all the way to the bottom of your feet. And now bring to mind somebody who you envy. And for the next minute or so, start sending sympathetic joy towards them and see how that goes for you. Remember, the sympathetic joy phrase can be, may your good fortune continue, may your happiness not diminish, or whatever it is that resonates best with you at the moment. If you discover that it is very challenging to send sympathetic joy energy to this person who you envy, and you discover that you cannot find absolutely anything to rejoice over for them, don't worry about it. There is no point in forcing yourself to do it. So if that's the case for you, instead of sending sympathetic joy to them, start sending sympathetic joy to purify your own mind, to purify it of the tendencies towards envy and jealousy. For example, sometimes we can feel compassion for somebody when they are down, but we actually resent if their fortune changes and they become happy. Suddenly we no longer feel as secure in our relationship with them. So if you cannot find an ounce of sympathetic joy toward that person, simply reflect on the good things you have done, the acts of generosity you have performed, taking delight in those. So switch your practice in this case to reflecting on the goodness within you and the rightness of your wish to be happy, along with your understanding of a path to happiness. Send loving kindness to yourself, the full verse, or just one phrase. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well in body and mind. May I be happy, healthy, and at ease. May I find deep, natural peace. And just check in a few moments and see maybe your heart has opened a little bit. in which case you can go back to the person you envy and see if now you can experience sympathetic joy with them. If yes, recite the sympathetic joy phrase, may your good fortune continue, may your happiness not diminish. And if you find that you are not ready, without any judgment, return to sending loving kindness to yourself. I'll give you a couple of minutes in silence to do that. As you go through your day today, I invite you to notice the instances when you feel these pangs of envy, jealousy, and see if in those moments you can take a pause and examine the state of mind. Depending on what you discover, you may choose to either send sympathetic joy to that person who you're jealous of, envious of, or if that's not an option, simply send loving kindness to yourself with the intention to purify your mind of these jealous, envious tendencies. Either way, it's a perfect practice. Remember, there is no judgment. We're just openly looking at our makeup, our conditioning. It's just an exploration. Thank you so much for being here. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you tomorrow.